let's talk about Woman in the Window.
Yes.
This was a movie.
Yep.
Someone made it. Some of the people who made it were really good. Others were not. Fun fact. So Tracy Letts, the guy who wrote the screenplay for this movie, plays the dad in Lady Bird.
Oh, okay.
That's him. Yeah.
Well.
He did one of those things a lot better than the other.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Stick to acting. Stick to acting.
Yeah. Definitely stick to acting. Yeah. I mean, so this film was directed by Joe Wright. As we said, written by Tracy Letts. It stars Amy Adams, Julianne Moore, Gary Oldman, Wyatt Russell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Brian Tyree Henry, Anthony Mackie. It's a stacked cast.
Yep.
There's a lot of really good actors in this movie, and a lot of them are very good in this movie, I think. I thought that I thought Amy Adams was really good in it. I thought that Gary Oldman, even in his very minimal time, was very good in it. Wyatt Russell was really good in it.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I'm trying to stay positive for as long as I can.
Yeah.
I thought that Jennifer Jason Leigh and Julianne Moore were really good. I actually thought Julianne Moore was really, really good. On our on my Oscars list, I might debate putting her in supporting actress. It would be over Charlene Swanky in Nomadland. So I don't know if I want to do. It's tough to think. Yeah. But speaking of, we're doing the Teen Stop Movie Awards, and we'll be doing our update halfway through the year. So at the end of June 31st, or whatever episode falls around that time, we will be doing our midway point, where we're sitting with our Teen Stop Movie Awards halfway through the year, which is interesting because we're covering all 2021 stuff. So like stuff like Nomadland and Judas and the Black Messiah and Minari will all be in there.
Yeah,
which is The Father. Very, very going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, so The Woman in the Window, cinematography, really, really great. The editing was really, really good. Visual effects were a bit lackluster, I thought.
I thought actually there was the one scene with the car in like the snow, but it's behind the door. That looked really bad.
It did look really bad. And with the blood, where obviously this is all spoilers. Spoilers. You guys know our reviews are always spoilers. Julianne Moore's character when she is killed, that looked really bad. Like there were parts. This movie was trying to be like a sophisticated film, but there were a lot of times where it gave off like 70s slasher movie vibes.
Yeah.
Which really goes to the problem that I have with this film. It's so messy. It's so unbalanced. Yeah. It's all over the place. Positive. Production design, phenomenal. It's one of my favorite production designs of the year so far, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah.
It's both haunting and homey at the same time, which is really impressive to pull off.
Yeah.
I think on my list I put it number 2, just behind The Father. And One Night in Miami, I thought was also really good production design wise. But the score was really good, I thought. But you're right, the visual effects weren't great. You not agree on score?
I just thought it was. I thought it was fine. It worked as a score. I just didn't think it was anything special by any means.
That's fair. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of, I thought, good things about this movie. The bad thing was the story.
Yep. Yeah.
So Thomas, would you like to explain your thoughts on this? That I think we both agree on.
Yeah, so there's just a story. It's so badly paced is one thing. And the characters, so for example, the final twist with spoilers, the kid being the murderer guy.
It's laughable.
Yeah. I mean, he was a nice guy about 20 minutes ago, and then suddenly he's an evil killer, which doesn't make any sense and doesn't work as a twist, which is what this film, it just derails the whole story itself. And the story in general, there's not much story at all, really.
Yeah,
She meets the woman, she sees the woman be killed, then she's crazy for about an hour and a half, and then it's the end twist. So, and that's the story. I can explain it within 10 seconds. So that's
right.
never really a good thing.
Well, so the thing with the twist is that twists should have setup. Like
Mm,
it isn't a twist if it's like if I were to say like if Captain or say I don't know Thor just all of a sudden started killing people with no
mm,
explanation
yeah,
in the Marvel films, it wouldn't work because like it isn't like cool like oh I didn't see that coming. If like now if the kid was like hinted that he had problems before and they did that in a
mm,
really cool way where like you don't pick up on it and then on rewatch you're able to figure out oh we should have seen this the whole time. Like for
yeah,
instance, spoilers for Promising Young Woman, but Bo Burnham's character. There are so many
mm,
hints throughout that movie. Like Carey Mulligan's character, Cassie, at one point even says, he's not that good of a guy, Dad. Like
mm,
we were told throughout the entire film that he wasn't that good of a person, but we were still endeared to him. So then the twist
yeah.
worked. So that's how you do a twist.
Mm.
Like this is not how you do a twist. But carry on. Sorry.
No, so yeah, I think I said my point. There's the story. It's a weird balance because it's on the one hand, it's fairly convoluted with what happens in the end and the fact that he's a killer. But on the other hand, not much happens. So yeah, it's just there's no story to it really, and the story that we do get is not very compelling at all. I'd say like if you the trailer was good for this film,
Yes.
and it's severely disappointing on my in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I mean, you're totally right about the pacing. Like it goes from like a character
Yeah,
study for like a lot
to
of the movie
a slasher film.
to a slasher film. And like it was so predictable too. Like we knew that the roof thing was going to like
Mm,
they pointed to the roof thing from like a mile away.
yeah.
Like they showed us here's exactly how the movie is going to end.
Mm,
Enjoy. I mean
yeah.
it's yeah, like the last 20 minutes for being the climax of the film feels tacked on just
Mm,
because of how messy the story is. Also, so this film feels convoluted. I get that people could say, well, it's an unreliable narrator. How you do is an unreliable narrator is first you have to endear us to the character, so that
mm,
way when they're going through all of this stuff and we don't know what's real and what isn't, we're going through it with them and we sympathize with them rather than
mm,
just being confused. Like to do an unreliable narrator, you have to be with the character
yeah.
because our viewpoint of this film, how we saw this film, was like through the viewpoint of like the detective or like Wyatt Russell's neighbor character
Mm,
who didn't understand what was going on because she was acting really, really weird, which doesn't work because then we don't sympathize with the main character,
mm,
Amy Adams Anna. I mean, Amy Adams does everything in her power to save this movie. She's really good at it.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's hard to sympathize with the main character when we aren't with the main character. And we're like, if this movie were to, it would be very, very bleak. Like I was telling Thomas, like Charlie Kaufman style bleak.
Yeah.
But if this movie were to just be, we're watching this from the outside of this person just fall apart, and we end with her realizing that it was all in her head, and the that she realized she remembers about her family, and then we finish out with her making the suicide video about her last will and testament, and then it's credits.
Yeah.
Depressing film,
Yeah.
but that could actually like I feel like that film works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there'd still be problems. It still wouldn't be a perfect film,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah,
it'd work better than it does with ending that feels like it should change the whole thing, but doesn't. It just ends up feeling tacked on, as you
like I
say.
said, it's the climax of the film, but it doesn't feel like it belongs
No.
because it just feels so out of place with the rest of the film.
Yeah. And
But
it
yeah,
feels like a
like
twist just to have a twist in it because oh,
yeah,
it's a film like this, so it needs to have a twist. It doesn't necessarily. Like the fact that none of it was real,
That's
or
a
only
twist.
parts of it, that works as a twist in itself. So you don't need to add on another twist just to make it so that, yeah, to
And
fill
like I
this
said,
genre more.
like that's a twist, and like it's a depressing movie, but it's like, you know, for instance, like with an unreliable narrator story, something like The Father, where you're seeing it, but you're with that film, you're seeing it through his eyes, so you sympathize with the character.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were to watch, I know Thomas, you haven't seen, so I won't get into spoilers.
Yeah.
But like if you were to see the entire film from like Olivia Colman's eyes, watching it, then it wouldn't really make a lot of sense and it wouldn't work because then you're just watching this like you'd have to commit to a completely different type of film.
Mm.
And this movie, if it was going to do that, like this could have been interesting if maybe we follow Wyatt Russell's character and he has this like like I guess he was like his land or his property owner,
Yeah.
and he's watching her like just go insane basically and do like there's multiple ways where this film could have worked,
Mm.
and it just all falls short. And I don't want to come off too negative because I really liked everything about this movie except the story, which is granted a major part of the film.
Mm.
So yeah, what would be your final like one sentence review of the film, putting you on the spot?
Okay. Wants to be a drama, but is really a not crappy, but yeah, a crappy thriller.
Yeah. It's like it's a B horror thriller movie trying to act like a sophisticated Hitchcock film.
Yeah.
Is really what it is. Though the cast does save it in a way.
Yeah, to some extent.
To some extent. It like if this movie didn't have as good of a cast and as good of technicals as it did, it would have been unwatchable.
Yeah.
So I really think that is a testament to that part of the film. But what is your final rating of The Woman in the Window?
I'm gonna give it a 3, probably.
A 3. Wow, harsh.
Yeah.
I definitely like the film a bit more. I'm sitting at about a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
The story isn't good, but I feel very positively about pretty much everything else in the film. So obviously the story is a major part of the film, but I feel like it's only worth 4 points to knock
Right.
it. And not much more. But this film, I'm leaning right, like I'm right in the middle. I don't know if I lean completely positive. I maybe even more of like a 5.5 of 10. I don't know if I'm leaning completely positive. I don't know if I'm completely negative either. Because the other thing is the film was entertaining, at least to me. Even with it being convoluted, it kept my interest. Like I wasn't bored by the movie.
No, but I think it's hard to make. It's very hard to make a thriller boring. But
that's fair. That's actually really fair. But yeah, so overall, we weren't massive fans of the film. I did like it a bit more though.